Welcome back to a new video. So this is the first workout of the program that I've written. It is a 4-week cycle that can, in theory, just repeat indefinitely, but each of the 4 weeks the volume drops slightly, the intensity goes up, and then at the end of that 4 weeks, that's when the heaviest weights are done in these various movements. So I actually made a mistake on the first day with these no-foot snatches. You'll see some misses and some bad reps, and a lot of that's just the mobility of my left shoulder still coming back, but I also did some bad reps, so it's a combination of the two. I was originally going to do 70 kilos for 5 doubles, and I just did them at 80 because I thought I had put 80, which isn't that really big of a deal. It's not that heavy of a weight, but that just kind of pushes up the weights I'll be able to use in weeks 2, 3, 4, 5. Essentially each week I'll add 10 kilos, take off a set, and so then by week 4, in theory, I would do 110 kilos for 2 sets of 2. Now, for all my warm-up sets in the first working set, I didn't use straps, but then for the other 4, I did use straps, and that's mostly just to save my hands, and that'll probably be a thing that I'll continue to do on some of these workouts if I'm working for the floor, just to give my hands some practice with the hook grip, but also to keep them from getting tore up too bad from doing a lot of reps. After doing the no-foot snatches, I guess no-foot power cleans, but I mean, it's really just overhead press. So I could really do anything to get the bar up. But I did 3 sets of 3, or 3 sets of 3 if I'm counting it by overhead press with 80 kilos. I had originally, when I wrote this down, put 5 sets, but I think for upper body or for clean and jerk work, I'm just going to generally do less work. So that means that instead of doing 5 sets, do 3. So then in subsequent weeks, I would either keep the sets at 3 because it's a pretty good number for clean and jerk sets, or bump it down. And then for overhead press, the theoretical end max would be 95 kilos for triple on the 4th week. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but I feel like I've done 90 for a triple before, so we'll see how that goes. And then I ended with some bicep curls as well. And the general flow, so that's the flow of every day, is to, or every week I should say, is to go up by 10 or 5 kilos depending on the exercises. For overhead press, I'm not going to increase by 10 each time because that'd just be too big of a jump. But for snatches, I can kind of do that. For clean and jerks, I could probably do the same thing. For the day 2, it is less of weightlifting focus and more on strength focus. So snatch, push, press, back squats, and snatch pulls. But I'll talk more about that on that date. But essentially, each day will alternate with the focus, which will allow me to have a day like this where I'm focused on developing the technique, getting some volume in the weightlifting movements, doing doubles in the snatch, which I haven't been able to do for a little bit, and build in that way, and also potentially do some accessory work. Thankfully, I don't necessarily need to do a ton of additional accessory work, because like overhead press is a really good accessory, snatch push press is another accessory, so something like a bicep curl is something that's, I think, good to add in, because I don't really ever do any directed bicep work, and it's something that doesn't really get worked directly in many movements, but it's good to kind of keep things balanced. I don't necessarily think doing a bunch of extra tricep work is going to be that necessary if I'm doing overhead press and snatch push press, because I've actually gotten sore triceps from doing high reps in the overhead press, so I know it gets me some work in that position. But the biceps, it's good to keep everything balanced in that regard. Some other general things that I might add in addition that won't really be in the program would be additional mobility work, potentially like cardio stuff, but I mean, it's the summer, so I kind of treat doing yard work and stuff as that as well. But potentially just going for walks and stuff is basic stuff that I'm not going to get as much in during the summertime as I would during the school year. During the school year, I really don't have to worry about doing extra just normal movement because I'm walking around, or I guess I was, since I may not be a phys ed teacher next year, but I would be moving around for a lot of the day, so I didn't really have to worry about getting extra just general healthy movement in. It was kind of built into the position that I had. But this first day, I guess that's the other thing I wanted to mention too. So the week kind of progresses towards lighter complexes of movements to heavier ones, and that's more so focused on weightlifting. The squats and the pulls and snatch push presses and stuff, that's kind of just pushing to get volume and intensity on those days. But I wanted day 1 to be an easier day as far as the weights that I'm working with and the difficulty of the exercises. That's why like the no foot snatch doubles, I'm not going to be able to, work to maximum or, get to 120 kilos with those, not for a little bit. And then obviously with the overhead press, like I'm limited by by overhead strength. So I'm not going to be, doing 140 kilos or something like that unless I pop onto the Russian method of taking as much steroids as possible, which is not something I plan on doing. But so the day one will be, lighter in the weightlifting thing, and then day three, the next day where I have it's weightlifting focused, is a higher intensity or at least more difficult exercises. So instead of doing no foot snatches on the floor, it's block snatch, which I want to continue to add those in. But then block power cleans, which are just extremely difficult for me to do, plus push presses. And obviously doing a push press, you can have more weight than an overhead press. And then on the week 5 or day 5, it's a little bit tricky because I want the day 6 to still be like a heavier day. But instead of doing the no foot snatches for doubles, do a similar weight or a little bit more for doubles in the regular snatch. And then do some sets with clean jerk on the day 5. And then day 6 being kind of like the heavy day. Day 7, I have to kind of really think about what I want that to look like because I haven't written any specific exercises that I want to do on that day. It might just be a total day of accessory work, or it might just be like a repeat of, say, like a day 4 where I'm doing some squatting and some pulling of some sort. I think either would be fine, but I think having the bias towards adding some extra accessory work will be nice. Definitely have some biceps on that day, but potentially, having more mobility work, maybe having like a Romanian deadlift, some sort of, different exercise that would just be for that day. But sorry, I had something caught in my throat for a second there. But the day 6 will still be the heavy day. So I suppose what the totals of exercises will look like in the week, I'll have 2 days of squatting focus, 2 days of pulling focus, potentially 3 if I add that stuff in the day 7, and then the weightlifting focus stuff will be 4 days. So it kind of has a difference of each day. The main accessory work for upper body stuff on kind of the strength focus days will be the snatch push press, which thankfully that movement's starting to feel better and better the more I do it. As far as the mobility of it, one issue that I was having with my shoulder being tight is it felt like it was rolling forward, so the balance was just uncomfortable on that shoulder because I wasn't able to get it back into that normal overhead position. But as I'm doing that movement more, and as I'm just getting the mobility and the pain tolerance back, and really just it's feeling better, I'm able to get my shoulders back in a better position, a more natural position that's locked out behind me a little bit further, so it's just feeling a little bit better. And so the snatch push presses I think will be good. I probably won't do a lot of overhead squats because that's just a little bit too strenuous on my shoulders when I'm doing snatches on the other days. And it'll be kind of nice to have a simplistic movement like a snatch push press that will still build my shoulders but won't really be straining my shoulders more than they need to. And so because that's something that I just need to be aware of. But I think biceps curl, it's not like a major exercise, but I definitely think it's something that I want to consistently add in. There's not weights or anything that I'm worried about getting to, but just worrying about trying to, linearly progress that. And then a lot of my shoulder stuff and triceps and all that's kind of just covered in general training. I suppose one other random thing that I could add in on that day 7 is potentially a bench press, but I'm kind of not really wanting to do that because I just don't like bench pressing for one, but also it's probably not the best for my shoulder. But I do have a bench to use at the house that's up on the shelf there. Back in quarantine times, my friend came to lift at my house and he brought a bench so he could bench press a little bit, and he just left there as like a cheap Amazon bench press. But potentially could throw that out there and just have that be an extra day, or I do some close grip bench. But that's something to decide later in the week. But this is day 1, so got some good productive work in. Move through the exercises pretty quick, and hopefully the next week not only do I have no misses unlike what I had today, but I'm able to increase the weights a bit. But that's going to be it for this one. I'll talk to you all in the next video, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.